just stay on his meds. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think if we ever, when we go to San Diego Week 7, let's just hope that Rodney Hudson doesn't have like any mental issues and he ends up in a Tijuana bar somewhere.
I hope not.
Oh yeah, me neither. Yeah. And one more thing with this Cleveland game, man, your boy Charles Woodson still looking like he's about 20 years old out there. On that interception, you see how much ground he covered very quickly? It's like he covered like 18 yards and probably about, wow, man, he went flying. Because for a second there, I thought Benjamin had it for a minute. All you see is just Chuck Wood just coming out of nowhere, just snatching the ball away. Man.
I did too. Watching it, I was thinking when he threw the ball, and you're right, there was a lot of ground for Woodson to cover, and just it seemed like he was just there. It was like the blink of an eye, and he was there. And you know, I can't, being over 40 myself, I cannot stress how amazed I am that he is 39 years old and doing the things he does. Yeah, and he did it with one arm. I mean, that's just incredible to me. He keeps doing it, and he's still playing on that high level.
Yeah, the thing is, man, I think they may need to give Woodson another contract extension after this season. Let the guy play as long as he wants to. But I still do say the time is coming where we may need to draft a safety, though. Because, I mean, Chuck Wood, I mean, he's a warrior for us, but he won't be here for us forever. We do need to start thinking about getting a new safety in there. And the guy that I've been thinking about is maybe Sua Cravens from USC. If you get a chance to check out a SC game, Jim, take a look at him. That guy, he's got the size and the speed.
I haven't had a chance yet to see many West Coast college teams, but I know you well enough to know that if you say he may be a good one, then he's definitely one to look at.
Oh, yeah, he'd be definitely serviceable, especially if Chuck Wood did decide to come back next year for one more year. He could just sit there and learn under him. So that'd be kind of a guy that we'd like to have in the fray. So Oakland 27, Cleveland 20. The Raiders get to 2-1, get their first 2-game winning streak in about 3 years. Now we move on here to a game. I don't know. This game kind of scares me a little bit, Jim, because it's kind of uncharted territory. The Oakland Raiders haven't been favored in a football game for about 3 years since 2012 at Miami. They're taking on the Chicago Bears, a team who looks very listless to me. I mean, against Seattle, they couldn't get anything done. I'm not sure if that's just a product of having Jimmy Clausen as your quarterback or just having terrible offense all around. Sure, Alshon Jeffrey is still battling his hamstring, but you still got Matt Forte, and that guy, he scares the hell out of anyone. So I think basically what the Raiders might want to do is pretty much key on Forte the whole time and hope that Thorpe and Hayden can hold up on those wide receivers, whoever Chicago is starting. I'm not even sure who their wide receivers are now. They didn't even matter last week. I'll be sure to get on that for you guys, though. But, yes, Oakland, they should be able to take advantage of this matchup. And offensively, yeah, just pound the ball with Latavius Murray like you do every week. Get things set up. Then you're going to have one-on-one matchups. Kyle Fuller is a decent corner over there for Chicago, but I'm sure that he doesn't scare Amari Cooper or Michael Crabtree or even Seth Roberts or Andre Holmes for that matter. So the Raiders, they'll have a lot of one-on-one matchups going through that game that I think they should be able to exploit and win. This is a game where, on paper, you think the Raiders should roll easily, but to me, I'm not going to sit there and jump there. I can't drink that Kool-Aid yet because I still feel we're a young team ourselves, and we still have to see how we handle success. The Raiders should win this football game 28-19 or something like that, but I do believe that, once again, they won't make it easy on themselves, even though they should. Your thoughts on this game, Jim?
Well, this kind of is the definition of a trap game because we've got Denver and San Diego and some tough games coming up on the other side of it. You know, I don't know. I'm almost sad because I remember the great Bears teams of the 80s, and I know enough football history to respect the team and the history. What I see right now is complete disarray where the Raiders were maybe 2 seasons ago. Their offensive line is well, there's no other way to put it, lousy.
Bad.
I watched a lot of the game last week. A lot of their game last week. They do the old Raider thing, the false starts, the holding. They have a lot of that. Their wide receivers, I don't remember who their wide receivers are, and I watched the game. If Clausen starts, Clausen is the one guy who can make Chicago Bears fans miss Jay Cutler. John Gruden nailed it years ago. He nailed Clausen. He's got him. I don't think Clausen will ever be a marketable NFL quarterback anywhere.
Yeah, and this has turned out to be extremely true, Jim. I remember going into that 2010 NFL draft, actually looking at a couple of mock drafts that said the Raiders may draft Jimmy Clausen back at number 8. And the thing is, I think that would have been worse than drafting Rolando McClain, and we see what kind of train wreck that guy became.
At least we had a couple of years out of McClain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy can play. He's just a whack job.
But the one guy on that offense that has to scare you, and I look at him like I look at Steven Jackson when he was with the Rams and those horrible Rams teams and that lousy offensive line. Steven Jackson still put up the yards, and that's the way Matt Forte is right now. He still puts up the numbers, and he still produces, and he's scary out of that backfield. He's a weapon out of that backfield. So, we cannot. I'm with you. I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to sit here and say, we're going to beat the Bears 48-7. No, that's not going to happen. I would think it's probably closer to 24-17. Their defense is another thing that's, when you think of the Chicago Bears and you think of their history, you think of Dick Butkus, you think of that defense. It's always defense. No matter how bad the offense has been, they always have that defense, and they just don't. Having said that, I think John Fox is about as good a coach in football, and he'll correct it, but it ain't going to happen on Sunday.
No, it's not going to happen on Sunday. Because I'm sure that Jack Del Rio has actually been tutoring the Raiders defenders about exactly what they're going to face Sunday, especially after working on a coaching staff with John Fox and Adam Gase. So that's another benefit that Oakland has this week. You know what to expect offensively.
Yeah, and they're with Clausen, they're just not going to be able to do a lot of the stuff that they would with Cutler if Clausen winds up starting, and I'm hoping he does. I'll be honest with you, I'm not looking for that big challenge. I'm looking for the win.
Well, nothing wrong with that, Jim. You just get the win any way necessary. Yeah. Me, I'm actually kind of hoping that Cutler and Jeffrey play just for the fact that the Raiders, we don't need them to get complacent. 8 times out of 10, the Oakland Raiders should win this football game just because on paper they're better than the Chicago Bears right now. Derek Carr is playing the best football of his career. It's a very short career, but yeah, he's playing some great football. Latavius Murray's starting to figure out things. And Amari Cooper, his career is only 3 games old, and he's already a matchup nightmare for people. So, this is really a game that the Raiders should be able to cruise through. But even if they cruise, I still see the game will be a lot closer than it was. Kind of like the game with Cleveland last week. The game you only won by 7, but you never really seriously felt like you were going to lose.
Yeah. And again, like you said at the top of the show, they never make it easy. They never seem to make it easy. There's not that game where you can sit back and think, we've got this one.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get caught looking ahead to Denver. You can't play Denver until you beat Chicago. That's the main thing that I'm really concerned with right here.
Yeah, it really is the classic case of a trap game, because I can definitely see the team looking past Chicago to Denver, and I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it'll happen with Del Rio. He's convinced me. He's kind of won me over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Seems like the team has made a complete 180 since we're sitting here talking about that horrific season opener game right here on the Brigade a couple weeks ago. Things have completely turned around.
Exactly. I mean, what I've seen is, again, what you pointed out, was the adjustments. You know, what works and then what keeps working and what stops working. And what the Raiders have shown me, again, with Ken Norton, too, is if something works against the Raiders the last couple games in the first half, in the second half they shut it down. A couple weeks ago in Baltimore, that was the tight end, and they managed to shut down the tight end in the second half. Same thing on Sunday in Cleveland. So
speaking of tight ends, yeah, we still seem to struggle with those a little bit. Then we have to deal with Martellus Bennett this week. I mean, if there's ever a tight end that you really don't want to mess with, he's the guy. So hopefully we can find a way to slow him down early and make him not hurt us so much.
And if you're Klaus and a struggling young quarterback, you look for the tight end.
Yeah, so take away the safety blanket.
Well, I mean, Bennett and Forte are going to be his. You got to figure those are going to be his safety blankets because Forte is he's excellent out of the backfield. So that's two things you got to shut down.
Yeah, and speaking of Chicago wide receivers, I think they've got Eddie Royal also playing this week. So that guy, he's been historically a Raider killer, so we got to really worry about him.
That's right. They brought in Royal because Royal played with Cutler both in Denver and in college at Vanderbilt.
Eddie Royal went to Vatech.
Oh, who am I thinking of? No, it doesn't matter.
It's not really important. Useless information.
But yeah, so but Cutler is familiar with Royal, so they did bring him in. That's why they brought him in with into Chicago.
Yeah, should be a great game though. I really look forward to it. I mean, I'll be here watching on the NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV. And speaking of which, Jim, you still got a couple of days to hop on a bus and get out here in time for the game if you want to watch it. Because I think you get Kansas City and Cincinnati as your CBS game. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm sure I'll be watching Red Zone. But if I hop on that bus, I might avoid the hurricane that's coming up the coast. So.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, make sure you stay safe out there, man. And I guess it's time now for our Today in Raider History. Not much has happened in Raider history lately. On October 2nd, they've lost their last two games that they played on October 2nd. They lost to Cincinnati 45-21 and 88 at a bye week in 94. They lost to the New England Patriots 31-19 in 2011. So I decided to move on to an even happier thought for Sunday. 17 years ago Sunday, October 4th, 1998, Charles Woodson recorded his very first interception as a member of the Oakland Raiders against the Arizona Cardinals. And guess what else, Jim? He returned it for a touchdown on a 23-20 Raider victory. So there's some great Raider history there.
Hopefully you can do it on Sunday.
Oh yeah, it would be great. It'd be an excellent bookend, wouldn't it?
I caught something this afternoon. Today in Raider history, it was in a loss to the Redskins in 1983. But today in Raider history, Jim Plunkett hit Cliff Branch for a 99-yard touchdown in that 35 loss.
But not to worry though, Jim. We took care of those guys 3 months later in Tampa, Florida, in a very significant football game. I think you know what I mean.
Yes, we did. That was one of the greatest football games I've ever watched.
I mean, too bad I missed it by 4 months though. But yeah. I mean, it was a great performance. I mean, I've watched it from time to time on the old networks. Great job by the Raiders, and it was a great job getting revenge. And hopefully we get the job done Sunday, and we'll have ourselves another story to tell Friday night. Next week we'll have our good buddy P.D. Bronco on here with us for a little Raider Bronco banner. So I really look forward to that. Should be a fun show, Jim. And it looks like we've come to the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That should be a blast. P.D.'s a piece of work.
Oh, yeah, it always is. He's one of those guys that always makes you laugh. You know, he's trying to get me to drink that Kool-Aid saying the Raiders are going to be this and that. Hey, we're still a young team, still building. But we're going to have a lot of fun with them next week like we always do. Man, it's hard to believe that we've already...
Sorry.
It's hard to believe that we've already come to the end of our voyage tonight. Man, next season when we do the Brigade, I'm going to make sure that we expand this to 1 hour, because this 30 minutes, it goes by like that, man. This is